Emails is very popular. Every day we use email to communicate with our partner, our family members, to get in touch with our friends. Emails is also very common in businesses. Many companies and corporations also require their worker or employees to use email very frequently at work. And also the skill of writing an email is examined in your text. The main point of this lesson is to help you understand more about the feature and the main points of writing an email. So we're going to learn the function, and more importantly, you should know some common types of emails. We also learned the netiquette and the language feature. Another very useful feature you should learn is to make an outline or a paragraph plan for email. It would be very practical and useful for you to learn by heart, to be very fluent at using useful expression when you write an email, so that you can do it very quickly and effectively in daily communication and at work, especially in your university examination. And also I will remind you how to do the writing assignment. First, we're going to have a look at the overview of email. So emails is the abbreviation of the full words electric mail, and the main function is to contact, get in touch with our partners. And at work we use emails for giving and requesting information. You can use it instead of letter to make complaints, make suggestions, etc. One important point for you to do is to pay attention. If you had to deal with a writing text and you are given the task of writing an email, so you should study the task very well to see the main content, the main function of that writing task, so that you can use typical expression and suitable paragraph plan to prepare your email. And now I'm going to tell you a bit about netiquette. So you should take note of this word. In meaning, the term netiquette means the rules about behavior on the internet use when you use the web. This word comes from the two words. Net means internet, on the net. Etiquette comes from the word etiquette. Etiquette means the convention or the rule of behavior. In Vietnamese, we say netiquette, quy tắc ứng xử trong giao tiếp qua mạng. Chúng ta có một thuật ngữ netiquette là quy tắc ứng xử trong giao tiếp qua mạng. When you are communicating on the web or on the internet, the first point you should learn is be very careful in using capital letter, because for Western culture, if you write something all in capital letter, it means you are very rude, you are very angry, and you are shouting. So don't use capital letter. Another idea here is stick to the business. Business here means at work, but also the word business means in our communication informally. When you exchange news or information with your classmate or with your friend, you also stick to business. This means you should focus. Don't write too much, don't write too long. Don't get off the topic, because you need to save the bandwidth, means to save the time. Right? So do not write about everything that is not related to the main idea, the main point that you would like to communicate. Very importantly, depending on the situation, you should use appropriate formality. Sometimes with the same person, you write very informally, but in some situation, to the same person, you may change by using more formal style in writing. One more point that many of you tend to ignore, and you get very bad mark in writing this point. Be specific. Be specific means whenever you mention any action or event, you should also state the exact day and time, exact place. For example, if you write, I would like to invite you to my birthday party at my house. So sometime at my house is okay, but you should say at my house, and you write the specific address, and you write what day. For example, my birthday is on March the 4th. Do not assume that your partner or your reader have to understand everything about you. So be very specific in writing. And the last point means to use a subject line or to write concise noun phrases. It's very important because it has your reader to easily focus on the content. And at work, the subject line is very important because it shows that you are very professional. I'm going to tell you more about the subject line in our practice. As I have told you, when you are in an examination and you face the task of writing an email, you should decide whether to use formal or informal style. So if you use the informal style, you remember to use the first name and with suitable expression for greeting, such as dear or hi. But when you need to be more formal, you have to use something differently. For example, you address other people with dear and their title, Mr., Missy, and surname. Okay? So you should be very careful in choosing first name or surname. And another point that's very easy for you to track your writing is the ending or the closing. Informal situation, we use some word like yours. Remember, yours always with an S. Acquisition always plural. Regards always with S. And in formal communication, we write yours sincerely and usually remember. And in your examination, don't miss the S. If you miss the S, you lose marks. And here are some language features of writing. In informal writing, especially in writing an email, you are allowed to use contraction You can use some suitable exclamation mark to express your feelings or your emotion. And also, you can use short sentences. However, we are learning at B2 level, so you should use the high range of language. Do not use very simple words, because if you use very simple words like a starter of English, beginner of English, you cannot get a high mark. So we use spoken side, the informal side in writing, but the level of the language is also suitable. And if you use the higher level of language, you will get higher mark. So you can consider to use conditional sentence, suitable tenses, and indirect question in some cases, and many other language features for a certain task in writing. This is very important. When you write in business and in professional situation, even in daily communication, you should write in 4 or 5 paragraphs. Do not write 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs because it looks unusual. So generally, for the male, so you should show your reaction to the input. For example, the input means some information that you receive from your partner or your reader. If your reader wants you to reply with some news updating, so you just write, well, how are you? I'm telling you some something new about my life and my job, etc. However, if the input from the reader is a complaint, they want to complain about something, so your writing should show the react to that with an apology. So you should write, I'm sorry to hear that. So the first paragraph should show some introduction, and you should focus on the input. And after that, you should update the news, or you give the detail that is relevant to the input. And the main point, the detailed discussion, you should put in paragraph 3. So depend on the function of the email, you may need to express the request, the invitation, a suggestion, etc. And at the end, you should signal with some closing remark to end your writing. But in examination, you should pay attention to cover all the notes in your writing task. For example, if the test requires you to cover 4 points in the writing paper, so you should make sure to cover the 4 points. You can add some other point, but you need to cover all the required notes and the required points in your test paper. I have posted my teaching slide on our e-learning course. So now we're going to review some useful phrasing to begin your letter. If some of you haven't preparing or taking notes, important point from my lecture, so next time you should do it in advance before the lecture. You should take notes in your notebook so that when I explain things, you can write more, take more notes, and it should be more convenient and it saves time. So you should learn by heart some useful phrases to start your email. And also the phrases are very useful for you to communicate in speaking. It depends on the situation, but you can choose which of the phrases to write. To introduce the topic, you can write some phrase like, well, you will never guess, or I know how much you love something, and then you write more. You can write something like, by the way, did you know that? And then you read the news, for example. If the main function of email is just to update and exchange news, so you can use the phrase, great news about, or glad to hear that. You can also use, it is the bad news, or some kind of mistake. You can say, sorry to hear about. And if you want to provide the news, give the news, you can write, well, if I tell you, you will never believe what? Oh, and another thing, you may also use this just to let you know that, or I thought you might be interested to hear about, or I might be interested to know that. You can also write, by the way, have you heard about? In many situations, you may reply to a certain request. So you can write something like, I'm writing to ask for your help, to ask if you could. If you want to be more formal, you can use, I wonder if, I was wondering if, or I hope you don't mind me asking, but could you possibly? If you are expressing a request to your friends or family member very informally, you can use either very grateful if you, I'd be terribly thankful, grateful if you. Okay. Another point that you should pay attention is the use of indirect question. You are advised to use a combination of direct question and indirect question in request letter or request email. But if you would like to make some formal request, you should use indirect. So one skill of writing is to be very fluent in using direct, or especially the indirect question. Okay, so you should learn how to change from the direct to indirect question. Because in many cases, the indirect question sounds more polite than the direct questions. In this lesson, you're going to learn generally about writing many kinds of email for many situations. And now we're going to learn some more expression for making suggestions and recommendations. For suggestion or recommendation, There are several expressions that you should use. You can use a question like why don't you, maybe you could, how about, or you can write statements such as you can't do something, you should do something, I'm sure you will, if you like we can do something, don't forget to. So they are useful expression and suitable for informal writing. And we are moving to the end of the writing. So at the end of an email, you should signal the ending by some closing expression. So you can write, give my love to somebody, give my regards to someone, or you want your reader to reply to you soon. You can use, I can't wait to hear from you, or look forward to seeing you again. Very politely, you can write, hopes to hear from you soon, or just write soon. And if you are writing to someone who are very close to you in relationships, you can use love or lots of love, all the best, or take care. And also you can't mix the expression bad wishes. Bad wishes can be used for both very informal to quite formal. So bad wishes can be used in many situations. So far, I have covered several types of mails, so you should spend some time and learn as many as possible the expression so that you can apply in your writing tasks. This is your assignment. I think assignments is taken from your textbook, so you can look at this task in exercise 6 of your textbook, and you are required to complete and submit these mails within 3 days from now.